Now that you have your image in Photoshop and you've checked your resolution size, you can duplicate your background layer. Select your quick selection tool and select your face and body, making sure to remove any areas within and around your figure that are not needed. Your selection should be as close as possible, but you know that your hair line and some areas of your body will be fixed shortly. I did not select my arm or one of my legs, knowing that I would replace them with other imagery. Once you have your selection, you'll go up to the Refine Edge command at the top of your toolbar. Change your selection so that it's on a black background so that you can easily see where your selection areas need to be fixed. Select your Refine Edge brush and use your zoom tool to get close enough to the edge of your hair so that you can see where the imperfections are. Check the box Smart Radius, and in your selected area, move your mouse and paint around the areas that you need to add back in. On mine, you can tell where the hair is missing. If there are areas that you missed while you were selecting, as you can see in my left arm, you can fix them with the eraser tool once you're finished the Refine Edge brush. You can see that the Refine Edge brush automatically updates your selection and adds back in the hair so that you do not have a cutout appearance. When you're done painting, be sure that the Smart Radius box is checked. Check the box Decontaminate Colors, and increase or decrease the edge so that you can edit your image. In the Refine Edge command box at the bottom, once you feel that you have a more successful selection, be sure that the bottom checkbox says Refine Layer Mask. Select OK, and you should now see the background removed from your layer. Go back and fix any areas that you need to. You can use the eraser tool to do this. Now's a good time to save what you've done so far. It will automatically save the PSD file since you have multiple layers. Check your resolution size again to make sure you're above 150 resolution. Save it in your M drive folder. If there are areas in your frame that you need to remove, you can use the Content Aware Fill option to remove them. You can see in my photo I have the remote that was releasing the shutter on the camera. I'm going to remove that from my hand using the Content Aware Fill. With the Content Aware Fill, you don't always get the best selection, so you can edit it with the Clone Stamp tool or the Spot Healing brush. Once you have your layer mask and figure selected from the background, we're going to add a shadow so that it appears more realistic. Option click or Alt click on your figure and the layer mask to select that. Make a new layer and rename it Shadow. Fill this layer with 50% gray. Go back to your Move tool and drag that layer beneath the original background layer, and move the shadow slightly to the left or right depending on where you want your shadow to lie. Go to Filter, Blur, select Gaussian Blur, and choose Increase the value in the pixels so that your shadow has a blurred edge. We're going to begin retouching mostly the face in order to remove any imperfections, select the healing brush tool and alt-click next to a blemish or other imperfection on your skin that you want to remove. Paint over that area. Remember to make your brush small enough so that you're selecting a small enough area next to the imperfection. Once you've removed those imperfections, we can now start to use some of the tools to soften our skin. Click on the mask and hit Apply Layer Mask. Duplicate that layer and change the blending mode to Linear Light. Invert that layer by hitting Ctrl-I. Go to the Filter menu, select High Pass, and add 24 pixels. Add another filter under Blur, Gaussian Blur, and change it to 3 pixels. Don't worry, the layer is not supposed to look correct yet. What you're going to do is paint back in the softness. Make sure the layer is selected, and then Option-click on the Add Layer Mask. Select a soft brush, not with a hard edge, and paint over the areas of the skin that you want to be soft. Avoid the eyes, mainly the cheeks, the top of the nose, the chin, the forehead. Change the brush size if necessary. Since it's on its own layer, you can decrease the opacity of that layer to achieve the desired results. You don't want your face to look too soft. If you have areas in your hair that you want to fix, you can use the burn tool to do this. In my old age, I have many gray hairs, so I've decided to darken the gray hairs to make the hair more like its natural color. The last step we're going to do to retouch our face and body is our eyes. Since my photograph does not have a direct shot of my eyes, I've chosen another one to demonstrate for those of you that can use this to improve your eyes. First, duplicate the layer and change the blend mode to the top layer to screen. Option-click to make a new layer mask. Then use the brush tool and paint back in the brightness over the whites of the eyes. Don't worry if you spill out, it is actually easier to go back and fix the mistakes than to get the brush small enough. The last step is really important. This is where you drop down the opacity of the layer. Start at 50% and then go lower until you have the desired brightness. If there's any red veins in your eyes, you want to make a new blank layer. Zoom in really close so that you're just on the eyes, and get a really small brush. Lower the opacity of the brush to about 20%. Alt-click next to the vein to steal the whites of the eye that you want to paint back in, and then paint the vein away. One final step is to add some texture back into what you just painted. So go to Filter, Noise, add noise, and add about 1% of noise. For one last step with adding brightness to the eyes, duplicate the layer, change the blend mode to screen, then Option-click to add a new layer mask. Change the brush tool and paint over the eyes, lowering the opacity of that layer so that the results look more natural.